Watch this video to see what really happened during the Delhi elections. Can we still call this a democratic country, or has it become no different from North Korea?
वीडियो बना
अरे मेरी क्या वीडियो फान मारी क्या करूँ पैको क्या ज्यादा उसमें मत आ मैं भी मंडल तक संवाद का यहाँ का अरे
हेलो कैमरे ये गुंडे जैसे बिहेव करते हैं। मेरे साथ 2 लड़की थी, बेचारे डर कर भाग गई।
खड़े हो, देख रहे हो किस तरीके से हो रहा है। महिलाओं के साथ अभद्रता हो रही है, पत्रकारों के साथ अभद्रता हो रही है। खड़े होकर देख रहे हो यहाँ।
आप क्या मतलब कानून व्यवस्था आपके हाथ में?
आपने मेरी पूरी फुटेज चेक।
लोकतांत्रिक इतिहास में शायद पहली बार ऐसा देखने को मिला है जब पत्रकार किसी चुनावी कवरेज के लिए आए हों और उन्हें पुलिस गिरफ्तार कर थाने में बैठा लेती है।
तो एक ऐसी घटना हुई है जिसे देखकर हम सभी पत्रकार ये कह रहे हैं कि दिल्ली विधानसभा चुनाव ऐसे पहले कभी नहीं हुए थे। हुआ ये है कि शनिवार देर रात को यहाँ पर जब पत्रकार रिपोर्टिंग कर रहे थे तो न सिर्फ उनको रिपोर्टिंग से रोका गया बल्कि उनके साथ मारपीट की गई और पुलिस ने उन्हें ही घंटों थाने में बिठाए रखा, रात से लेकर सुबह तक थाने में बैठाए रखा।
Ladies and gentlemen, today we delve into the recent Delhi elections where the Bharatiya Janata Party, BJP, secured 48 out of 70 seats, marking their return to power after 27 years. However, beneath this victory lies a series of events that raise critical questions about the integrity of our democratic processes. But this is not a victory that reflects the will of the people. It is a victory built on manipulation, misuse of power, and a deliberate destruction of democracy. This was not a fair election. It was an election where the opposition was crippled before the voting even began. A sitting chief minister was jailed under false allegations. The central government rewrote laws to seize control of Delhi's administration, and every institution that was supposed to protect democracy was instead used to serve the ruling party's agenda. So today, we will break down exactly how BJP rigged this election, not through voter fraud, but through a systematic attack on democracy itself. From legal manipulation to media control, from political persecution to religious polarization, every step of this election was designed to ensure that BJP won at any cost. But the real question is, now that BJP has taken control, what happens next? Will they actually solve the problems they have been blaming AAP for all these years? Or was this just another political stunt to eliminate opposition and consolidate power? Stay with us as we uncover the shocking truth behind BJP's so-called victory in Delhi. Let's start with the biggest factor that made this election a complete farce: the Government of National Capital Territory of Delhi Amendment Act 2023. Before this law was passed, Delhi had a special status. It wasn't a full-fledged state, but it still had an elected government that handled key administrative functions. The chief minister and his ministers had control over policies related to health, education, transport, and other crucial sectors. But the GNCTD Act changed everything. This new law took away the powers of the elected government and handed them over to the Lieutenant Governor, LG, a person directly appointed by the central government, meaning that BJP now had complete control over Delhi's administration, even if AAP had won the election. This was nothing short of a silent coup. A state where people voted for an elected government was now being ruled indirectly by the BJP through the LG's office. After this law came into effect, every major decision taken by the Delhi government could be blocked, delayed, or completely overruled by the LG. This led to welfare projects getting stalled. Schools, hospitals, and infrastructure projects faced delays because BJP-controlled bureaucrats simply refused to cooperate with AAP's ministers. Public frustration growing. As governance slowed down, people started believing that AAP wasn't performing, when in reality their hands were tied, a narrative being built for BJP's comeback. With every stalled project, BJP could easily say, look, AAP has failed, while conveniently ignoring that they themselves were the reason for the delay. This law ensured that BJP could control Delhi even before winning the election. It was the first step in making sure the 2025 elections were just a formality rather than a democratic process. The second major attack on democracy was the arrest of Delhi's sitting chief minister, Arvind Kejriwal. For months before the elections, the Enforcement Directorate, ED, and Central Bureau of Investigation, CBI, were targeting AAP leaders with corruption allegations. The biggest case involved the so-called liquor policy scam, where Kejriwal and his ministers were accused of financial irregularities. But here's the shocking part. No solid evidence was ever produced in court. The case was built on accusations and statements from witnesses who were already under pressure from central agencies. Despite the weak case, Kejriwal was sent to jail for 6 months, ensuring that the leader of AAP was completely removed from the election process. With Kejriwal in jail, AAP was left leaderless. There was no central figure to rally behind, no strong voice to counter BJP's propaganda. BJP controlled the narrative. The media, which is largely biased towards the ruling party, kept repeating that AAP was corrupt, even though no charges were proven in court. AAP's election campaign was crippled. With their leader in jail, the party was forced into survival mode instead of focusing on winning the election. This wasn't law enforcement. This was a political assassination using the judiciary. BJP's election strategy didn't stop at legal manipulation. They also controlled what people saw, heard, and believed through their absolute dominance over mainstream media. News channels only focused on AAP's corruption, while completely ignoring BJP's own scandals, whether it was the electoral bond scam, Adani's financial controversies, or their failures in handling inflation and unemployment. Every BJP leader had unlimited airtime while opposition voices were silenced. Whenever AAP leaders spoke, they were immediately cut off, ridiculed, or ignored. Social media was flooded with fake news, with BJP's IT cell running a massive campaign to spread misinformation about AAP's failures while glorifying Modi and Shah. With the media acting as BJP's personal propaganda machine, the election was fought on perception, not reality. BJP's ultimate weapon, as always, was religious polarization. Instead of talking about pollution, unemployment, or the failing healthcare system, they turned the election into a Hindu versus Muslim debate. Religious riots were deliberately instigated in key areas to create fear and division before the elections. AAP was falsely branded as anti-Hindu. Even though the party had focused on schools, hospitals, and development, BJP's propaganda machine spread lies about AAP supporting a particular community. People were emotionally manipulated into voting for BJP instead of thinking about real issues like education, healthcare, and employment. By turning every election into a battle of religious identity, BJP successfully distracted people from their own failures. Now that BJP has seized power in Delhi, the biggest question remains, will they actually solve the problems they have been blaming AAP for? Will they clean the Yamuna? For years, BJP criticized AAP for failing to clean the river. Now will they do it? Will they fix Delhi's pollution crisis? Or will they keep blaming others? Will they build better schools and hospitals? Or was all their criticism just for votes? History has shown that BJP is great at winning elections, but terrible at governance. Now that they have complete control over Delhi, they have no excuses left. This election was not won. It was stolen. It was stolen through legal manipulation, media control, political persecution, and religious polarization. The real tragedy is not just AAP's defeat. It's the death of democracy in Delhi. If elections can be manipulated like this, then what stops BJP from doing the same across India? The only question now is, will the people of Delhi realize what has happened? Or will BJP succeed in brainwashing an entire generation into forgetting the truth? If you care about democracy, share this video. Speak up. The fight is far from over.